Hello interwebs, welcome to Let's Fix Computers. I'm sick and I haven't made a video in over a week, so let's do something old school and simple. I've got a HP ProBook here that has a broken screen. So we're going to take this laptop apart and fix the screen in it, basically. So I used to do videos on screen replacements and stuff all the time in the past because that was my bread and butter. So I'm going to do it just like I used to, with just a full walkthrough. So let's roll the intro and we'll go through the whole shooting match, and I will very slowly talk through this head full of cotton wool and cold. See you after the cut, everyone. Right, I've just put a little bit of fragile tape over some customer data. Okay, so we've got to get the bottom cover off of this thing first. In the good old days, you used to be able to remove the front bezel of a screen without actually taking the whole laptop apart, which was a little bit naughty because you should at least disconnect the battery. But then on the other hand, in the old days, the battery could be removed from the back as well. So yeah, that's where all of those habits came from. But these days, because of the sort of clamshell design of modern laptops, we really need to take the display assembly off to actually attack that properly. So we're going to start by removing the display assembly. Looks like this has captive screws, so those aren't coming out. Just looking around the side of the laptop for a place to get started with. Because this has got a metal chassis, I need to be careful about not only scratching it, but also just bending the metal around the edges. It's got some dinks in it already, this laptop, where it's seen some usage, but even still, this one's a difficult one to get started with. Ah, that's a good sound. There we go, we've got a gap. I think we're getting started now. Can I just get my fingers under there? Yeah. Go on. Give it a wiggle. Okay, well, that one was horrible to remove. Okay, right, so we're in, and the first thing I want to do is disconnect the battery. It is really important that we disconnect the battery because we're going to be disconnecting the display. And the display has an always hot backlight rail. And that means that as long as the battery or the charger is connected, there is power going through the display cable. And that means that when we disconnect the display, if we go ever so slightly wonky, we'll short the backlight rail to ground and probably blow the backlight fuse. Now, you have to be unlucky for that to happen, but it is a real thing. It does happen. I have had laptops come in where people have attempted this and have blown up the backlight rail. So it really is important. Let's see. This battery is being stubborn and I can't find any of the tools that I'm looking for. There we go. Am I going to have to remove the battery? Nope, I can just squeeze that out. There we go. Alright. So let's move to disconnecting the display now. So the battery is disconnected. So the display connector, I can just flip that locking bar up and just pull that out. And I'll just unwind this, steer that around the fan. And then over here, the other wires we've got going to the display are the wireless antennas. And there's just a random bit of something there. What is that? Bit of rubber or something, like an eraser or something. Right. Just pop those antenna cables off. Cool. Right, so those are the wires going into the display assembly. So now we can just unbolt the display assembly and that's going to come right off. It might have been prudent for me to open the screen on this first, but we'll cross that bridge in a moment. So without having, without being able to open the screen properly, these hinges will be really, really stiff. But I can probably just jam my screwdriver under here and just lift those up. Yeah, that's working just fine. Alright, and now I should just be able to lift the body out here. So I'm just going to ease that out. A little bit of finagling. There we go. Whoop. Alright, so there's the body of the laptop. We can put that to one side now. So now we're down to the display, and I now need to remove the bezel, which is the front section. And I'm going to get a prying tool in here, and I'm just going to try and just pop that out from all of its clips. And it's likely clipped on the outer edge, and most HPs and a lot of modern laptops, they have a very thin bead of double-sided tape around the inside edge just to get a seal between the bezel and the LCD itself. So you've got to contend with that as well. Some people use a little bit of heat here just to weaken that glue. I usually find it's not necessary, but it's up to you if you want to. However, above all, we do need to be a little bit careful just not to snap the bezel. Most of the time, replacement bezels, they're not really expensive on eBay if you do happen to break one. So, you know, that's not the end of the world. And, you know, once in a blue moon when I'm doing this, I will get a little bit cavalier and accidentally snap one. It happens, you know. And when that happens, I jump on eBay and I buy another one for a tenner. All right. Because I'm dealing with a broken LCD, I can just also dig in against the LCD and just not care. It doesn't matter if we scratch this to hell. Oh, it felt bad doing that. Even though I know I'm replacing this, I reacted to that. Ugh. I'm not going to do that again. I'm replacing this. It doesn't matter, but why did I do that? Anyway, so we're going to carefully pry off this bezel. Gosh, that was an emotional response to doing that. It felt awful, just deliberately scoring across the screen. That was very strange. Ugh. No matter how reckless I sometimes look like, a lot of care is just programmed in. Right. Get that corner, come on. There we go. There we go. Unfortunately, it's very difficult for me to explain how much force I can use when prying out bezels and clips like this. This is something that just only experience tells you. However, you can pull up by quite a lot, but I need to avoid folding. There we go. Now we're cruising. I'm not pulling up on the bezel by very much, I'm just tensioning it. So that way when I dig in against the clips with the prying tool, because there's tension, they just pop up. Got to be careful down these edges here. All right. Okay, now we're up to the bottom of the display. So the first thing I need to do is I need to open up this cover. Right, does this come off? Does it slide? No. Okay, I don't think that's coming off actually. So I'm just going to carry on prying around here, just loosening everything up. Right, is the black section connected to there? I don't think so. I'm just prying to see what comes away. Now I think that needs to come off. So I'm going to just find the bottom of it. Cool. I didn't pick an easy one as an example today. Right, that side bit has come off. That's just a square in the corner, and there'll be another square in that corner. Alright, let's carry on along the bottom of the display first. We might be able to just flip the whole thing off the front. Yeah, that's working. Okay, here we go. I think this is the moment. Haha. Yeah, so the silver bit is attached to the black bit as suspected, so that's come off as a single bezel. And I'll just get this other square now as well. I don't think that actually needs to come off, but I'll move it out the way just so it doesn't get lost. Alright, there's our bare display. So now the question is, what's holding the display on? So I think we've got pull tabs on this one. So in the corner there, you can see that little white square. That's a tab, and we've got another one up here. And this is probably stretch release tape. So I'm going to grab my tweezers, and I'm just going to see if I can grab hold of that. Yeah. Just wrap that around the tweezers to get a good grip on it and start pulling. And once I've got it going, I'll just hold on to that with my fingers. And I'm going to just keep that short, just keep going hand over hand as I pull that out. If you try and go for a big long pull and just go, "Wah!" it will probably snap. Okay, I don't think that snapped. I think that was the end of it. We might have one in each corner here. That was not the length of the screen. Normally I'd expect the whole length to come out. I think we've got 4. Yeah, definitely. That's unusual. I'd normally expect 2 strips, just one on each side, but it looks like we have 4. No! Oh, my hubris. I went for a big long stretch. That's what happens. That's why you don't go for the big stretch. Alright, I thought, oh, they're only short things. It'll be fine. It won't snap on me. Okay, well, we've got 3 of 4. That should just come off of its own accord now. So let's just lift the panel up. Hello? Ooh. Oh, but wait, there's more. There's another one there. How many heckin' tabs have they put on this thing? Five. The answer was 5. Okay. Alright, so I'm going to just gently pull away here now. Even though we don't care about snapping this screen in half, I don't want to bend the back cover. So I do need to be a little bit careful. Gosh, that's stubborn. Alright, I'm going to grab some isopropyl alcohol and just spray a little bit of liquid encouragement down there. The alcohol will disable the sticky action on that, so it should just get that to start coming away. Ugh. Can I get my tweezers in there and pull on the tab? There's my non-angled tweezers. There we go. Okay. So now we can lift that up. We need to disconnect the display. So we've got a little red locking bar there. Flip that open and pull that off. Right, there's our broken LCD gone. To the shadow realm with you. I have to go and pick it up again now because I need to read the model number off the back. Right, so let's talk about replacement panels. So there's 2 ways of finding a replacement panel for a laptop. Method 1, which is what I did for this one, so I would have parts in advance, is just simply to search the model number of the laptop. So this was a what was this? This was a ProBook. This was a ProBook 440 G9. So I searched eBay for ProBook 440 G9 LCD, and I searched based on that. Now, searching for the laptop model number is usually okay. However, now and then you'll get caught out just simply because sometimes people just get it wrong. Sometimes eBay listers will say, I think it's this type of panel, so I've listed this as compatible, when actually they're just wrong. So you should be careful. The more reliable way is to take out the old LCD panel first and see what's actually in it. So in this case, we've got model number, and that says B140HAN04. So that is the number we'd search for on eBay. So you'd search for B140HAN04, and then visually match up a panel that looks like this, because the distinguishing features of this LCD is that the controller board is taped to the back of the panel. It doesn't hang underneath. It doesn't have any tabs or mounting holes or anything like that. Bare panel, control board taped to the back. So you'd want to get the model number and visually identify it as well. So now let's put that to one side again. And the replacement panel that I ended up here. Whoop. So this one is an LP140WFA, which is compatible. And as you can see, this one, same deal, control board is on the back. There's no mounting tabs anywhere on the panel. So we've got a good enough match here. And I think this was an IPS panel as well. I always go for IPS panels given the choice, because the viewing angles on them are much better. Without having seen the original panel running or looked it up, it's possible that the replacement panel is even better than the original one, because HP use really awful display panels in their laptops. It's one of the big weaknesses of HP. So yeah, always go for an IPS panel if you can. You'll get something that just looks so much better. So to glue these back in, I think I've actually got some stretch release tabs that I'm going to reuse. Let me find them. Yeah, so I've got some stretch release tabs here that came with a MacBook Air battery. When I don't have these available, I just use some Tessa tape. So where's my Tessa tape? There it is. So this is literally Tessa brand tape, but it's just wafer thin double-sided tape. And I put just a little bit in each corner to glue a panel back in. But in this instance, I've actually got some stretch release tabs here that I can use. So I will use these. So I'll just peel these back, and I'm going to put one in each corner. So let's put one there. Uh-oh. Oh no. Well, I've just completely goosed that one. Never mind. These are a little bit too wide, these tabs, but I think we'll be okay. We could probably get away with just using two, but since I've got these, I'll use them. My acid test for this kind of thing is always, is it going to fall out? Basically. That's what you've got to ask yourself. We do still have the front bezel holding this in. And so when you ask yourself that question, is it going to fall out? The answer is no, it's probably not going to fall out, even with only two holding it in. The factories, they've got to make sure that these things are bomb-proof and will survive a journey to Mars. But when you're doing repairs, you know, we only need them to be customer-proof. Which sounds like a high bar, but actually it's not that high of a bar. Anything that the customer is possibly doing to their laptop that is enough to shake out an LCD is probably above and beyond what we would expect to be reasonable. Right, so before I take off the cover tape on there, I'm actually just going to plug this all in and make sure that the screen works. So I will connect the new panel up. So get that locking bar closed, and then I'm really just going to make sure that's properly plugged in, because sometimes these locking bars will close when the connector's just not quite in properly. So making sure that's absolutely in. And I'll just lay that down in place. Right, and I'm going to do a little bit of tidying up on the desk here because I'm starting to pen myself into my working space. Right, and thankfully, due to the design of this laptop, we've got this nice long display cable that I can just carry over to the body of the laptop here. Normally you don't get away with this, and you've got to, you actually have to put the display assembly back on the body to really test, but in this instance I've got an easy test going. And I'll just grab a charger, because then I can just plug in a charger instead of having to reconnect the battery. Alright, charger connected. Where is the power button on this? There we go. And it's powering up, and we have a picture. HP Wolf Security. I haven't seen that before. Fair enough. Right, it looks like it's power cycling. Yep. That's normal. It's just doing some RAM training or BIOS resets or something like that. And we've got a boot screen. Right, and we have a background picture. So I'll just disconnect the power now and just power that down. It's not going to kill it to get a full shutdown like that once in a blue moon, just for the purposes of testing. So we know that the screen works, so we can commit to this now. So let's disconnect that again. And I'm going to lift up the panel and remove the backing tape on our stretch release tabs. Okay, and now I should just be able to commit to this. So, oh no, there we go. Right, so I'm just going to make sure that the screen is lined up. This is going to be fairly difficult because anywhere it touches, it sticks. Can I line up the top edges first? Because I think, yeah, I think if I line up the top, we'll make sure we're square. All right. And before I sort of give that a judicious press, I'm going to grab the bezel and just see if that lines up. So I'll just put the top corner in. Yeah, that looks about right. There's always a little bit of a gap where the picture actually is, which is very difficult to align. But the important thing is because we've gone to the top right in each corner, the picture should be straight in the frame. Even if there's a little bit of an offset gap somewhere, as long as it's not physically tilted, it'll look okay. So I'll remove the front. I'll remove the front backing. Front backing, the cellophane. And I'll just gently press in the corners. And we should be good. So now we just want to press down the bezel into place. So let's get that lined up. And I'm going to start by just clicking in one of the corners, and I'm just going to start going around the top, clicking it into place. Bit of excess residue sticky there. That's fine. Right, and I can feel these clips going back into place. If any of them don't feel right, then don't worry, just move on. I'm going to do multiple passes. I'm going to keep going round and round until everything feels like it's in place. Oh, what about these squares? I should probably put these in place first. I don't think they did need to come out in the end. And that's looking pretty good, actually. I think we're in. I should have made sure that the webcam lens was clear there, but it looks like we got lucky. All right, let's put the body of the laptop back on. And now the game of which screws go in. So on these screw holes, if there's no arrow, like that one doesn't have an arrow pointing at it, that means you don't put a screw in there. There'll be one coming through from another cover on top of it. So we're going to populate any screw holes that have an arrow pointing at them. And we'll reconnect these Wi-Fi antennas. And the display cable. There we go. And we'll reconnect the battery. How much RAM has this thing got? 8 gigabytes. That's alright. I usually check when I remember, just in case you spot a laptop with 4 gigs in it. And that's normally the time when you just say, okay, we're definitely upgrading that. Alright. That battery is connected. Just going to make sure that's shoved in properly using a plastic tool. Yeah, there we go. That needs to go in a little bit further. Good. Alright. And just before I fully commit to clicking on the bottom panel, we'll just open that up and just give it another post test. Power. Hopefully it's charged. We've got a power light. Yeah, good. And that's a good looking screen. Seems to have pretty good viewing angles. It's not going to go toe to toe with like desktop monitors. You know, very few laptops will. However, we've got something that probably looks just as good, if not better, than the original. Right, that's your lot, everyone. I hope you guys found that kind of interesting. Sorry for the slow content lately. I will be back with more in the future. But in the meantime, that's how you do a screen replacement on a HP ProBook 440. And also just, again, some general theory on doing screen replacements on most modern laptops. So thanks for tuning in, everyone, and I'll see you all in the next video, which will be at some point. Thanks, goodbye.